Last week I had to fly to Chicago, and I was on the plane, and there's a woman on there, and I was talking to her, sitting next to her, and turns out, can't do much when you're on a plane, so I asked her why she was going to Chicago, is business or pleasure, and she said, well, it's a little bit of both, that she was a guest speaker at a sex therapy convention, and she was there to dispel a couple of myths. The first one being that black men were the most well-endowed. It turns out it's actually the American Indian. And as far as virility, it turns out that the Jewish man is actually the most virile. So then I introduced myself as Tonto Goldstein. Hey, did you see that interview they had with the couple that had the test tube baby? Said the kid just wasn't worth a fuck. Or the Jewish boy that comes home from school, he goes, Mom, I got a part in the school play, and his mother goes, oh, that's fantastic, what part did you get? He goes, I'm gonna be the Jewish husband. She goes, you go back and tell the teacher you want a speaking part. Hey, you hear about that whole Mexico Everest expedition? Mexico sponsored a team to climb Mount Everest, got 60 feet from the summit and had to turn around because they ran out of scaffolding. You hear about the optimist that drowned in the half-full bathtub? You hear about the guy that wrote the Hokey Pokey died? Just 92 died, and I guess at the funeral home, they were putting him in the casket, they put his right foot in, and that's when all the trouble started. Anyone go down here to the new Japanese restaurant? I guess the Japanese restaurant, they want to be a traditional Japanese restaurant, but they want to be a fast food restaurant. So when you go in, you just take one shoe off. This is all part of my whole family history. I mean, my great-grandfather, old Wrongway Roberts, he was in the Civil War and he fought for the West. Birth control pill for men, huh? Big revelation. Guess you take it the day after it changes your blood type. So when my wife was in a coma, when she was in the hospital, and she'd been in a coma for about 2 weeks, I guess, and the nurse was giving her a sponge bath and kind of hit a sweet spot, and she flinched. And so the nurse talked it over with the doctor, and they called me up, and they thought maybe if I came down and had sex with her that it might bring her out of this coma. And so I said, sure, I'll come down. And I went down, they put you in the room, and they draw the drapes and stuff, and they got monitors all hooked up. And gosh, it was about 10 minutes in, and all of a sudden she flatlines. They come running in, they're going, what happened? I go, I think she choked. And then, of course, you know why women like 80-year-old gynecologists, don't you? Because they're always going, now, let's have a look here. See, I'm pre-sequencer. So this blind guy is standing on the street corner, and he's got his seeing-eye dog with him and stuff like that, and the dog all of a sudden just walks out into traffic, and the guy's hanging on to the dog. He just walks right out in front of a car, and the guy screeches to a halt, and the blind guy digs in his pocket, and he pulls out a dog biscuit, and the guy jumps out of his car. He goes, hey, buddy, you ain't going to give that dog a biscuit, are you? I just damn near killed you. He goes, I'm just trying to find his head so I can kick him in the ass. After last year's taxes, I was so poor I was being sponsored by an orphan from Vietnam.